Hey everybody, it's Anna. I am a fluid painter, a pastor's wife, and a mom of 3 living in small town West Virginia. Thank you so much for stopping by my fluid art channel. I have a really fun painting for you today. So today is actually my wedding anniversary. Woohoo! And yesterday was Palm Sunday. So what do Palm Sunday and my anniversary have in common? Palm leaves. So my anniversary, for our honeymoon, we went to St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and it was just amazing. We had so much fun snorkeling and just soaking up the island life. So with it being Palm Sunday and celebrating all of that, I thought, let me make a palm branch on a sky blue background. So it's going to look very tropical, very fun, and I'm excited about it. So sometimes when you have a new idea to try, what do? You go to Google and you say, what have other people done? So when I searched for fluid painted palm branch, I couldn't find anything. Obviously, there's lots of paintings of palm leaves, but there were none that I could tell were done with acrylic pouring. So I had to come up with this all on my own. It's going to be a lot like a feather swipe, except there's no silicone and I'm not going for cells. And obviously I don't want it to be quite as flowy as a feather. I want it to be defined kind of leaves in the palm branch. So I've got some of my little plastic swipers that I use for my micro swipes. So this is going to be a lot like a micro swipe, but no silicone. So these are just pieces of laminator sheet, which I have, run through the laminator and then cut out. So they're nice and flexible, great for swiping. I also have some palette knives of different sizes if I want those, because pulling this versus swiping this, it gives you different control. So you may choose one instead of the other. For my colors, I've got this big cup of my sky blue color. This is a custom mix. Let me see if I can show you the consistency there. Trying to show you without dripping it all out of the cup. So this is thicker than I would typically use, and I know that sometimes if your paint is too thin when you're swiping, sometimes it'll all turn into lace, like what happened with my Northern Lights pour. The Northern Lights portion just totally went lacy, which was beautiful, but it wasn't quite what I was going for there, and it definitely isn't what I'm going for here. So let me see if I can show you this a little bit better. Do you see how it has some body as it comes off the stick? But it definitely flows. It's not going bloop, bloop, bloop. So it flows, but kind of thickly. I would call this medium, possibly even to a medium thick, but I would call this more of a medium. It's hard to describe these things. It's like you have to do them and experiment with quite thick and quite thin until you realize, yes, this is the right consistency for this technique. So as for the colors, all of the information on the colors and the brands will be down in the video description, so I don't have to go over all of them today. It is a mix of craft paints and tube paints. It's actually mostly craft paint, just because I'm like, I need to use up some of these bottles. So I think it'll be a good blend of colors. I've got a 16 by 20 inch canvas today, and I've taped off the back and sprayed it with water and, put water in all the corners so that it's nice and taut. And if you're wondering, what is she talking about, water on the back of a canvas? You can watch this video and it'll show you why I do that. Okay, I think we've talked through all the details. Let's make a painting. So I'm going to start by putting out the base coat. So the background, actually, I haven't even decided. Well, I'll start by putting out the blue. I haven't decided if this is going to be a horizontal or a vertical orientation. I have a feeling it's going to be vertical. And I'm saving just a little bit of this paint back because this is a custom mixed color and I want to be able to touch up areas if I need to, so I can't use it all up. All right, let's spread this. I actually have more paint on here than I need, so I'm going to put some back into the cup because I don't want a really thick layer of paint on here. I just kept scraping and scraping and scraping more and more paint off of there. I tell you what I'll do though, because there's a lot of paint on there and I'm not using silicone, when the painting is finished, I'm going to scrape all that paint up off of the canvas and save it. I think it's going to make a really beautiful sort of blue-green color. So all that paint that I just swiped right off is not going to go to waste. Let me give it a torch because there's a bunch of bubbles from all the swiping. I think I am going to turn this. So for the sky, you've probably noticed I have some other skyish looking colors up here, and I am going to blend those into the background with my palette knives. So I've got some white, obviously, clouds. We want just a few sort of wisps of cloud. And I thought about how am I going to blend this in? Do I add the paint to the palette knife and kind of swipe that in? I think what I'm going to do is just add in some colors here and there, and then just kind of mix it around. So this is, I've got white, and then this is blue cotton, which is just a paler kind of a blue, and then I have a metallic ice blue. Just to add a little bit of shimmer to the background. Because even though we're doing a blue sky, which as we know is just bloop, flat, it's always fun. This is an abstract sky. All right, let's try this. That is so different now. It's beautiful. But it's just like such a different look from the plain blue that we just had. Trying to make it look swooping, like cirrus clouds or something. Really delicate. Okay. That's looking really cool. So now I need to figure out, do I want my palm leaf going this way or do I want it going this way? First I'm going to torch again. Because anytime you're swiping and mixing your paint around, you're going to be creating some air bubbles. I think we're going to go this way, and I think the branch is going to start off. It's not going to have like a stem, so that's where it's going to differ from a feather. It's not going to be completely contained and centered in the canvas. It's going to like flow on like this. This would really be easier with a squeeze bottle, and I never use squeeze bottles because it's so much work putting the paint in. I always mix, new colors for every painting. Let's try this. That's not bad. So what I'm going to be doing is I have these 5 different greens, and I want to kind of layer them up to make some contrast, and then I'll be swiping from the middle to make all those different leaves. So let's add the dark green next. I need to start catching those drips so that I have a nice small point up there. And now our really light green. That worked pretty well. You might notice I'm starting pouring off of the canvas. That way you don't have a big puddle right here to start. If you start here, the big plop goes there, and then you've got a nice thin line going up. What haven't I done? Okay, metallic green. And finally this spring green. So that's all my 5 colors, but I don't think my stripe of paint is quite thick enough for what I'm going to do, so I'm going to add a few more of the colors again. But I'm going to stop a little bit before the tip because I don't want way too much paint up there. All right, I think that's what I'm going to start with, and I'm going to try a few swipes, see how it goes. If it's absolutely terrible, I can always remove that section, pour on a little bit more blue, you know, scrape it up from the table, and try again, but I hope I don't have to do that. So I'm going to start with my small swipe tool. I don't think I'm going to use the big one. So palm fronds, they don't go straight out, they like curve up. So I'm going to kind of grab from the middle. Touch gently. Okay. There we have one. Not a lot of cells, which is what I was going for, but we'll see. We will see. All right, let's do another one. Okay, that's nice. So why use a bunch of different greens? As you can see, the color here is slightly different. It's just going to pull slightly different colors based on what's layered up. And so you're going to get more texture in the leaf itself. All right, let me keep on going. Grab from the middle. Pull up. I'm liking this. I don't quite know what I'm going to do right there exactly in the middle, so I'm going to wait until I've done this side and then I'll figure out what to do in the middle. This is looking really cool. I could almost leave it as is, you know, kind of like a folded palm leaf, but I want to do the other side. I think I need to do the other side. Make sure you wipe off your swipe tool after every single swipe. That'll keep your colors from getting muddy. Okay, I got to turn this. And then I need to try to swipe this direction. Actually, this is going to be a little weird. It's going to be strange to swipe upside down, but this way I'm still swiping in my predominant direction, which is to the right. And I think that'll be easier than trying to go some other direction. All right, let's start swiping this way. I think a lot of the stuff that goes off the sides is going to have to be added with a brush. We'll see if I can not scrape it so hard this time. Nah, there's just not going to be enough paint to flow over the side. It'll be okay. Okay, so this is the point where I don't need to keep touching the edge, so that's good. Finish the swiping. I'm going to turn it around so that I can actually look at it. Okie dokie, that looks like a palm branch for sure. So I made these ones smaller. Just trying to like get the curve over. I wish I hadn't made them quite so small. This is cool. So my first couple swipes I thought, oh no, it's all going to be one color, but there's actually a lot of just very subtle color difference. There's a little bit of cells that came, I think, from the metallic. Yeah, it's very cool. I don't love the tip. I'm going to try my old standby. This is like my standard trick when I'm using silicone. Little piece of paper towel, and you swipe with that. Don't have silicone here, but I think I'm going to try that instead of my palette knife. Oh yeah, why didn't I do that first? Yeah, so I've got, you know, my puddle of green here where it's fallen off the table. I'm just dipping it into that. So I've got those green colors that I want to start the swipe with. Yeah. I think that'll work. Liking that very much. But I think the last thing that this needs is sort of a line down the middle. And I have been thinking about how I'm going to do that. Got a chopstick here. So let me start with the dark green and the small end of the chopstick. Okay, so it's dark up at the top, and nothing happened down here because we lost it all. But it started to connect, and the reason I started at the top, you'd think start at the bottom where there's more paint and it'll taper. The problem is then I would create a ridge pulling this way. You see how the paint is pulling backwards? That's how you want the paint to pull on a palm frond, because it all grows out of the middle, so it all should go back into the middle. So that's why I started it the way I did. Obviously I can add paint with a brush. I'm just trying to create that line. Let me try some of this light green. And trace the same line. Okay, so that did basically zilch as well. But that is a line that I can follow as I am brush painting, and I will add in that center line. I may add little texture lines up the leaves. I may leave them. Starting out, I thought that I was going to have a much wider ribbon of colors, and I was going to have to use this skewer to drag the blue back through. But my ribbon of paint actually was quite thin, and I think this is a perfect amount in the middle. So I'm really happy with this, and I don't think there's anything else I want to add. Let me give you a close-up. All right, here it is. So as soon as I turned off most of my cameras, I noticed that the background, in some of the areas where the swipes had kind of crossed over the blue colors, it just made it a bit distracting. So I took a little bit of paper towel and just kind of smeared through a few areas to make it a little bit less noticeable. So I think I've gotten that fixed to where I'm happy with that. And there were a couple of these swipes where it had caused some swoops, where striping in the blue turned into like U shapes. So I just kind of blended that out a little bit so it didn't look quite so distracting. But yeah, take a look at this leaf. So we have some cool lacing there from the metallic green. And then it just flows down to these nice, larger leaves. Yeah, I like the bigger ones down here at the bottom the best. But there's just some really cool details from those paints just rubbing against each other and interacting. It definitely looks very plant-like. So I love that. I'll have to do just a few touch-ups with a brush to add that center line. So I will show you those next. Here it is, all dry, all finished. So I did just some very basic brush touch-ups here. On a couple of these leaves, I just added a little bit more green on the ends to make them look a little bit cleaner and neater. And then here in the middle, there's kind of a ridge running down. So I started with the dark green, and then I added a couple different light greens to try to give it kind of a shaded, rounded effect so it looks like a ridge. So that was a little bit trickier to do than I thought, but I ended up getting it done. And then I added the green here on the sides, and in a couple of places where the blue background looked a little bit unnatural, I just tweaked it with a brush. So I think this is pretty cool. Definitely looks like a palm leaf. Now to me this isn't a finished painting. I don't have time to do more before the video goes up, but in the next few weeks I'm wanting to add down here some flowers, maybe a hibiscus flower or a red peace lily or something else so it looks like a beautiful tropical scene. So I'm excited about that. You can be on the lookout for that. I'm not sure exactly when the video will come, but I'll be working on that in the next few weeks. But thank you guys for watching this one. I hope it inspired you to try something new, and I hope you come back for my Easter video, which is coming next Monday. I'm very excited about it. Thank you guys. See you next time. Bye.